Hi, this is Dr. Kim Duramo from drkimd.com, physician, speaker, #1 best-selling author of the Mind-Body Toolkit, and founder of the American Institute of Mind-Body Medicine. You know the expression when they say love is a battlefield? And if you grew up in the 80s like I did, that was a really popular song. Well, that actually can register true in your body, where love feels like, you can get hurt at any bend around the corner and kind of like get triggered, and it can cause devastating effects in your body and how you're feeling. And so I'm going to talk to you about something today that's a really important distinction to help you navigate that would-be battlefield in your romantic relationships. And this is so important because the way we feel in our relationships can take us out of the game in our career and growing forward in our lives, and can actually create changes in your body that threaten your health. What's happening in your body when you're in this mode of, like, oh my gosh, I just stepped on a grenade, or I got to be really careful. Your body's trying to protect you. Your brain has this mechanism put in place to trigger off the fight or flight response if you are, in fact, threatened. And now you may have had experiences in your past where you couldn't trust somebody, or they did something that really hurt you and it wasn't safe. There was a real threat. And now it's 30 years later in your life, and you're experiencing something that brings up that same fight or flight response, that same feeling in your body, that same threat. But the truth is that now it's just a perceived threat. It's not actually that you're in danger, but what's happening is your body is remembering, like, whoa, last time we trusted a man, it was bad. It was bad news. And your brain will set off all the bells and whistles to have you not trust a man again. And that's all well and good until the day comes when you want to have an intimate, loving relationship with a man, when you want to grow forward in your life, to actually grow into receiving more. You can't receive more and hold all the protections in place that you had in the past. It just isn't possible. So to navigate that would-be minefield, you got to actually get present in your body and use this one tool that I found to be very helpful in my relationships. It's called real versus perceived threat. Is this a real threat, or is it just a perceived threat? Now, the truth is your brain doesn't know the difference. If you enter into a relationship with a man and you're experiencing love and joy and intimacy and maybe even physical, like sexuality, and then something happens that makes you like, that was bad. You got to ask yourself, like, is this a real versus a perceived threat? Because your brain is registering based on the experiences that you've had in the past. Wow, a man in a red coat abused me in the past, or a man who wore a hat was verbally abusive and it was a real threat to my self-esteem, and now he wore a red hat on my date. Now, you're not thinking that consciously, but the anxiety response will get registered in your body because those memories are already triggered into your subconscious. Same thing can happen if, like, for a woman dating a man and he doesn't call. Like, I know from my husband, when we first started dating and I was like, wow, this is an amazing guy, and started to really let my heart open and connect with him and share with him and be vulnerable in ways that I wasn't always comfortable being vulnerable and communicating. And then this one thing happened, and he went away up north in New England, and I didn't hear from him. And that was fine because the first day went by and knew he was away. And then it was like a whole other day, and I didn't hear from him the second day. And I thought, well, this is weird. This is when we were first dating. We had been speaking every single day, like multiple times a day. Like, he couldn't get enough of me. And all of a sudden it triggered something for me. And I knew rationally, like, there was really nothing that I needed to be upset about, but I was really feeling rejected. I was really feeling anxious, and like I couldn't even get through the whole day because I felt so heartbroken just over not getting a phone call. But all of this came up in my body. Well, if I could learn to be with myself and distinguish, is there a real threat or is there a perceived threat? Because my body sure felt threatened, like I could be rejected, and maybe he's doing something else. Maybe he's just forgotten about me. He doesn't care about me anymore. Like, your brain can just skits out with the craziest thoughts. Now, you do want to appreciate meeting your own needs. If someone's treating you in a way that doesn't feel, like you're getting your expectations and your needs met, you have to have a communication about that. Like, hey, if you don't call me for a week, I'm not really cool with that. It really upsets me. It makes me feel like we're not connected or like you don't care, and you just express how you're feeling, how it makes you feel. You don't have to make the other person wrong, but let them know what's going on in your world, and then look into, can I take care of those needs myself? So then like he's free and he could call or not call and it's okay. So I found out, you know, it was like the day he got back, he was way out of cell phone range, which I didn't realize or even think about. And then he thought about me the whole time and took all these pictures and shared them with me when I got back. And so I got these pictures that came in when he got back and was like, all right, you know, I get it that this wasn't about me, but I was also really appreciative that I could have that distinction. So it sort of helped me get through that day without, wow, I've got to have him come back and he's got to call and then I'll feel better. It's never about what the other person's doing. That helps you feel a certain way. And in relationships that can get all tangled up, we make it be about, well, he did this, so I feel good. But if he doesn't do that, then I won't feel good. And really, it's about my ability to be there for myself. So having this distinction, real versus perceived threat, you can go off into a trigger state where you literally, I had one girlfriend whose friend said, oh my gosh, he did that. You've got to break up with him. You know, that's it. Because something simple happened and she was really hurting. It just brought up a lot for her. And I helped her see like, well, this is just bringing up stuff for you, but there's no real threat here. You know, you got to get really clear for yourself. If you haven't already gotten clear, this could be tricky. So go to the drkimd.com/design your life. drkimd.com/design your life, because you want to get clear on that first, and you'll know like, what are my real threats? What are the real red flags that I'm not under any circumstances going to allow in my life? But when you're in that trigger mode, it's either a fear response or it's an anger response. Your body's in fight or flight. You're trying to protect yourself. You can't see things clearly. If you've delineated this ahead of time, it's going to help you immensely in navigating your relationships so they don't feel like a battlefield, so that you take care of your own needs. You ask for what you want so you can stay open to love and be clear on what your boundaries are, honoring your own boundaries so they can be honored by the people in your life. So getting this distinction, real versus perceived threat, you always want to ask, as soon as that trigger goes off in your mind, is there a real threat? Or is it just a perceived threat? This is going to help you immensely in experiencing divine partnership and real love in your relationships. Sending you so much love, and comment here below to share with me what you're experiencing and what your insights are and what the challenges have been for you in your relationships. If you get triggered and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to do something about this, or you feel like you want to shut your heart down, you don't know how to respond, connecting in your body and getting clear on this one distinction is going to help you immensely. I'll see you soon. And this is Dr. Kim Duramo from drkimd.com.